Jeremy, bringing you in because obviously you worked on this case for quite some time in terms of research. You went down to that community. News today that he's being charged with murder. What was your first thought?
A sense of relief for not just Tanya and her family, but that community. Just remembering, the overall feeling that of helplessness because they couldn't find the boys. Obviously, they've never been able to find them, but the feeling, that everyone believed that the worst had happened, and I know the police were really trying to figure out ways to ensure that John Skelton never got out of jail. And so I feel like this is where they wanted to end up if they couldn't find the boys. So just a sense of relief for that community and Tanya and her family for sure.
I know it's been 15 years and sometimes it's hard to remember all of the facts and figures and the evidence, but when you were down there and when you were spending so many hours with the family, was there anything that, was left questionable? Because obviously they were always looking for evidence that actually linked him to the murder, but it was such a mystery.
I mean, there's a lot that, so much is left unknown still. I think back to the original, discussions with police that I had that were, years after the moments that John Skelton and his kids disappeared. But just thinking about the cell phone trail that was left behind, pinging off towers down to Holiday City, Ohio, all of the different places that have been checked for any kind of physical evidence between, Morenci and, various parts of Ohio, truck stops, ponds, many different places along the way. There's nothing but questions, I think, for a lot of people, including Tanya and her family. But at least they can feel some sense of home, knowing that they won't have to face John in public again.
As an investigative producer, do you recall anything that just stuck with you personally when you were talking with some of those detectives who worked the case, who took part in so many of those searches, that something that just might have gnawed at you a bit?
Yeah, I think, it's almost one of those cliche things you hear where agencies just didn't seem to necessarily get along the way they needed to actually be constructive and move forward together. And I think that they may have gotten in their own way, and that was pretty frustrating. I mean, more than anything, the overriding feeling that I have when I think back on this case is not as an investigative journalist or person, but it's more just being a father and just feeling the heartache and overall just overwhelming feeling of like what it would be like to not know where your kids have gone, and know that you're so angry at somebody that clearly has answers that they're not willing to share. And I still, feel heartbroken to this day for Tanya, because I can't imagine living with that for, well over a decade now.
Yeah. And his story was, it was around Thanksgiving, obviously, he picked up those boys, and then at a particular point, he had said that he had given them away to another individual. Is that correct? Jeremy, did I lose you?
I think I'm having Wi-Fi issues. Maybe can you restate that?
I'm gonna ask you, yeah, one more time. In terms of his story, that he went and got the kids, and that at some point he quote gave them away. What did you feel, from doing your research about his story?
I mean, it honestly felt like it didn't add up, right? Like there was discussion about an Amish community and a truck driver and all of these people that were never found in all of these places that turned up nothing. It felt like a lot of misdirection. The way that John Skelton was always described to me was as he was a master manipulator and smart enough to get away with a lot. And that's what it felt like he was doing in those moments.
And 15 years later, he is charged with murder. All right, Jeremy, we appreciate it. Thank you very much for your time.
Thanks, Karen.